Hi friends, welcome to QApedia and this is our blog qapedia.com. Today the topic that we are going to discuss is performance testing, and the subtopic that we will discuss today are performance testing, what is performance testing, types of performance testing, then what are the different types of performance testing. We will discuss those types like load testing, stress testing, volume testing, scalability testing, spike testing, and endurance testing. Then we will see examples of performance testing. Then we will see importance of performance testing. Then we will see performance testing tool, and then importance of performance testing tool, and then types of performance testing tool. At the end, we will see summary of the session and then question for the session. So let's start performance testing. What is performance testing? So, performance testing is a type of testing where we check the performance of software application. So, now what are the factors that we need to test so that we can decide that the performance of the software application is good or not? And the factors are following: speed, then response time, then stability, and then scalability. Speed is a factor that determines that when we try to access the software application, then the application responds fast or not. Then response time. So response time, this factor is also same like speed. Response time is the time which is taken by a software application for responding to any action. Any action that we do, then how much time software application takes for responding to that action. Let's say if we try to access the software application, then how long does it take to launch the application? That thing will be called as response time. How much time is taken by a software application? That particular time will be called as response time. Then stability. So stability is a factor that determines that the application is very stable. Software application is very stable. The software application should not crash and it should work well if suppose there are more number of users who are trying to access the software application. So if our application is stable, it will not crash. That is one factor that we need to test. Then scalability. Scalability is a factor that determines the maximum user load or the volume that the software application can handle. So how much can we scale? How much maximum users can be handled, or how much volume we can store in database? So user load is nothing but number of users, how many number of users can access the application, and how much data we can store. Volume is nothing but the amount of data, how much data we can store in database. So these are some factors that we need to test when we do software performance testing. Now let's see types of performance testing. So we have different types of performance testing and we have listed them below: load testing, stress testing, volume testing, scalability testing, spike testing, and endurance testing. So let's see the load testing first. Load testing. So what is the meaning of load? Load means number of users. So load testing means testing the performance of the software application with different number of users try to access the software application at the same time. So at the same time, there will be lots of users who will try to access the software application. Now we have to measure the speed and the response time of the software application under varying load. Now how do we do that? So we will take an example of an e-commerce website. So let's say when 100 users are trying to access the website at the same time, then if we search for a product, then we get the results in 2 seconds. If we try to add the product to shopping bag, it takes 2 seconds. If we click on a checkout button, then it takes 2 seconds to navigate to checkout page. Then if we enter shipping address, billing address and credit card details, and then we click on place order button, then again it takes 2 seconds of time for the order to be created. So this kind of thing we can see again on the website under varying load. So when the load is 100, when 100 users are there, then Product search will take 2 seconds, add to shopping bag will take 2 seconds, navigate to checkout will take 2 seconds, and order placement will take 2 seconds. When 500 users are there or load is 500, then product search will take 3 seconds, add to shopping bag will take 3 seconds, navigate to checkout will take 3 seconds, and then order placement will take 3 seconds. When 1000 users are there, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds. So like this, we can see that when our load is less, okay, when what to say, speed of the website is more when the load is less on the website. That means website responds quickly and the response time is less. But when the load increases on the website, then the speed of the website decreases and website responds slowly and the response time becomes more. So when the load on the site is less, order creation will happen very fast, but when the load on the site is more, the order creation process will take time. And this is how the load testing is done on a software application. Now let's see stress testing. So what is stress testing? So if you want to understand stress testing, then we have to take example of load testing. So we have already seen load testing, and in load testing we had seen that the system performance keeps on reducing with increase in load. What happens when the load increases too much to handle? Okay, when the load is too much that the website is not able to handle. In that case, we might face some serious issues. And what are those serious issues? Our website might crash, our web pages might not respond, or our order creation won't take place. So when we test the performance of our website for those conditions, then we say that we are doing stress testing. The stress testing is a type of testing where we test the performance of our website above the maximum permissible load. Stress testing will help us in identifying that how will our system behave under extreme condition, when will the system fail, and when will the system recover after failing. This is what we test in stress testing. Now let's see what is volume testing. Volume testing. So volume testing is used to test the performance of a software with huge amount of data, a large volume of data. Because large volume is coming, that's why we call it as volume testing. And we also call it flood testing. So what happens? We store a large amount of data in our database. So when we store a large amount of data in database, we call it that we are flooding our database. Okay, so when we flood the database with data and then we test the performance of software, then it is known as volume testing or flood testing. Now as part of volume testing, we have to ensure that the system is able to store a large volume of data, the first thing. Second thing, users are able to retrieve the correct specific data from large amount of data. These two things are ensured in volume testing. Now let's see scalability testing. Scalability testing. Now what is scaling? Scaling means growth, and these days we hear this term a lot because of startups. Any business that grows at a rapid speed in terms of revenue, market share, and customer acquisition within a very little time, then it is said that business has scaled up. Scaling means growing. Now how can we use this in our performance testing? So let's say we have a system where we have 10 modules and the memory allocation is equal for all the modules in normal condition. Then our system should be flexible. It should be so adjusted that the bandwidth allocation for one module can be used for others if only few modules are used and remaining are not being used. Okay, so scalability testing is done to check the performance of a software when large number of users try to access the system. That means when the load is more, that is load testing. Then large volume of data is stored in the database, that means volume testing, and large amount of transaction are taking place, that is stress testing. So when the load testing, stress testing, and volume testing is done together, it is called scalability testing. But scalability testing does one more thing, that is finding out the solution to the problem. So let's see that. So see, let's say that there are 6 modules in a system, and in normal condition we are having 1 GB of allocation memory allocation for each module, 1 gigabyte. Then if suppose some extreme condition happens, and during that condition only 3 modules are being used, module 1, module 3 and module 6. What will happen? These modules will take some bandwidth or some memory from other modules, so that uh, they can be used in this particular extreme condition when users are trying to access only these modules. So this is the difference between normal condition and extreme condition, and this is what we do in scalability testing. So our system should be flexible enough so that we can allocate we can use maximum, we can take maximum use of our available resources. Now let's see spike testing. So what is spike testing? When we test the software application for a sudden overload condition, and that too in different time intervals, then that is called spike testing. So this is a type of testing where the load increases or decreases on the software application suddenly. So for example, suppose we tested an e-commerce website for 5,000 users in morning time for 10 minutes. Then we tested it again for 15 minutes with 7,000 users in afternoon time. Then we tested it again for 8,000 users 20 minutes in evening, and so on. The testing will go on the website, and this is what we do in spike testing. So this type of testing will help us in identifying the system performance when a drastic load changes on the software system. Let's see the graph. So we can see here that this is a graph of spike testing. Okay, when sudden load increases, then there is no load, then again sudden load will increase, then same way the things will go on like this. Okay, so this is the example of spike testing. Now let's see the next thing, which is endurance testing. Now what is endurance testing? When we test the performance of a software application under normal load or overload condition for an extended period of time, then this type of testing is called endurance testing. Now this is also called soak testing, and this is also called longevity testing. Endurance testing is performed at the last stage of performance run cycle, and endurance testing is done for several hours or even several days. And endurance testing is different from load testing, because load testing is done for just couple of hours, but endurance testing will be done for several hours or days. Endurance testing is performed in order to find out the system performance when the system is used for a long period of time under normal load or overload condition, and it is used to find out the memory usage and leakage in the system, and it is used to find out system speed and the response time. So this is what we do in endurance testing. Now let's see the graph for that. So endurance testing, when we start doing it, then for an overload condition or a normal load condition, we do this testing for a very long time, and then we stop doing it. So we do it for 2 weeks of time, 1 week of time, or 3 weeks of time. Like this we do endurance testing. Now let's see the example of performance testing. So let's see examples of performance testing. Let's take an example of an Indian website, irctc.co.in. Every day during 10 to 11 am and during 11 to 12 am, we are allowed to book Tatkal tickets. Tatkal is an Hindi word which means urgent. So Tatkal ticket is a facility to book urgent tickets for people who couldn't book their tickets earlier or who couldn't plan their travel earlier. So there is a limited time available and limited slots of tickets available as part of Tatkal ticket scheme. And when people try to access IRCTC website during this interval, the website speed reduces drastically and the response time increases a lot. So during this time, the IRCTC website performance reduces a lot, and in some cases, it does not even allow you to log in due to such traffic. And this is an example of stress testing. The stress will be too much on the IRCTC website during this time. So let's take an example of an e-commerce website like Flipkart or Amazon. So in these websites, during normal time, the traffic on the website remains normal, but during sale on the website or during festival time like Diwali or Christmas, the traffic on the website increases drastically. And if the website does not have capacity to handle such great amount of traffic, the website performance might reduce or the website might crash as well. And this is an example of load testing because the website will have to handle lots of load during festive season or during sale season. Now let's take one more example. So let's take an example of a banking system. In the banking system, when the financial year ends, the finance teams will have to work very hard and they will have to very long to finish their reports. And this generally takes a week or more than that. So during this long period of time, more people use the banking application than usual. And during this time, the load on the banking system will be more than usual load. And it will be the load will be there on the website for a very long time, like for a week or 2 weeks or more than that. So the bank will have to make sure that the system can handle extra load for this long period of time without slowing down or breaking down. And this is an example of endurance testing. Now let's take one more example, and this time we'll take an example of YouTube. So around 3.7 million new videos are uploaded to YouTube every day, and this is around 2,71,330 hours of video content based on an average length of 4.4 minutes. Now this is really a large volume of data, and YouTube has to make sure that the data is stored properly and everyone should be able to access it anytime. And this is an example of volume testing because we are storing a large amount of data and everyone is able to access it anytime. So this is an example of volume testing. So with the above example, we can say that performance testing is very important. So let's see the importance of performance testing. So performance testing is very important because it can help in increasing revenues and profits, enhancing the user experience, enhancing the quality of the software, and then measuring the stability of a program or device under peak condition, and it helps in reducing the cost. So let's see the first importance or first advantage, increasing revenues and profits. So when the system doesn't give any performance issue, then more number of users will interact with system, and this will increase the revenue and the profits of the business. When we are able to place orders during festival seasons like Christmas or Diwali, then it will give more revenue because lots of people do shopping during this festival season. Now second thing, enhancing user experience. So user experience will enhance because when the system does not give any performance issue, when we are able to navigate to all the modules of the systems very easily from one module to another module, if we are able to navigate easily, then we always have a very pleasant experience with the software application. Then enhancing the quality of the software. So quality of the software will enhance when performance testing is done because it tries to enhance the response time, it will try to enhance the speed of the software, and when it deals with increased load or large amount of data. Then measuring the stability of a program. So we ensure that the system remains stable when it deals with increased load or with a large volume of data. So this way performance testing measures the stability of the system as well. Then reducing cost. Performance testing prevents the failure that might happen in production due to heavy load or large amount of transactions happening. So this way it reduces the cost of fixing a defect in production because the cost of fixing a defect at a later stages is very high. So these are some importance or some advantages of performance testing. Now let's see performance testing tool. Performance testing tool. Now if we want to see performance testing tools, then we have to understand the importance of performance testing tool first. And if we want to understand the importance of performance testing tool, then we have to understand that what performance testing for a system is. Why do we do it? We do it for heavy load, we do it for large volume of data, and we do it for large number of transactions. So let's see the first one. If we do a performance testing for heavy load, and what does it mean by heavy load? That means more number of users. So if we want to test a software application for 1000 users or 10,000 users, then any company can't hire these many people just to do performance testing. So it becomes essential to do performance testing using some automation tool where we can generate a virtual load of 1000 users or 10,000 users so that performance testing can be done. Then large volume of data. So we had seen in our YouTube example that around 3.7 million new videos are uploaded to YouTube every day. And if we have to do this task manually, then we need to hire thousands of people to do this task only. And no company can hire these many people just for uploading videos. So in order to do this, we need some automation tool. Then large number of transactions. So in order to test a performance of a e-commerce website, we need to test that we are able to create thousands of orders within a span of 10 to 15 minutes. Now if we try to do it manually, we will need a lots of people whose job will be just creating orders, and no company will hire these many people just to create orders. So we will need some automation tool to do this job. So these are some reasons why we need an automation tool for doing performance testing. Now let's see what types of automation tools we will need in order to do performance testing. So type of performance testing tools are load runner, neoload, jmeter, and apart from that there are many other performance testing tools, but these are the famous one. So I'm discussing only these three. I'm not discussing, I'm just telling that these three are the famous performance testing tool. Now let's see the summary of the session. So we have covered below topics in our session: that what is performance testing, types of performance testing, examples of performance testing, importance of performance testing tool, importance of performance testing tool, and then types of performance testing tool. Now, what is the question for today's session? The question is, why is performance testing so important for any organization? You can provide your answers in the comment section, and if you want to get the notes for the session, you can go to this blog and get the notes. Thank you very much, friends. That's it for this video.